Everybody, so thank you for joining us. I've got a special guest and I will let her introduce herself and what she does and who she works for. So, without further ado.
Hello, I'm Krista Peryer. So I am the co-founder and president of the Geek Foundation. So here on my little name tag, Geek Foundation. I run a tech nonprofit here in Springfield. We exist to offer computer programming classes and maker technology classes to the public, to our community. We focus on trying to offer it, for increasing diversity in the field, because we need, trying to get more women into the field, things like that. But all of our classes are free, and we're getting ready to start our first 2 adult programs, adult learning programs in 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks from yesterday, for the first time. So we've been doing mostly kids classes for the last few years because we've been operational since 2015 is when we started the organization. But we've mostly been doing kids classes like robotics and wearables technology and, cute little drag and drop programs that we've done at the library or Boys and Girls Clubs, and things for a few years. But this last year, in January, we won a grant, our first grant for $24,000 in combination with Pitt Technology Group and Drew Lewis Foundation, and another local nonprofit. So we won $24,000 to put on an IT program. So that was a pretty exciting opportunity because we're able to establish some curriculum, offer some hands-on classes where students can come in and learn how to build a program or build a computer from scratch and learn all about cabling and networking, all that stuff, with the objective to get certifications, where people could go out in the community and get jobs in IT. So we were pretty excited about that opportunity. And then from there, when COVID hit, I was watching, people lose jobs left and right, and because our program also exists to help low income families, and trying to, fight poverty, obviously, COVID happening and seeing more people losing their jobs, was just what else could we do? So we expedited and fast tracked another program that's web development, front end web development, and offering that as well. We're doing it online. That one's online so that we can reach a bigger group of people, so more people can participate if it's online. I have a fly that's trying to guest on screen with me here. We can reach a bigger group of people, through that. In our IT class, we'll see it's here actually on site at the Fairbanks where our office is located. And it, it is an in-person class. So we're only able to do, 20 people, unfortunately, even though the classroom sits 40 people. Because of COVID, we're doing social distancing in the classroom and, all those things. So we're only able to do 20 people in that class, whereas, the web development class, we could have, a pretty large number of people so far, or a large number of people sign up for it. So I'm pretty excited. We've got, 2-week countdown to getting that started. We still have spots available if anybody wants to register for the classes. You could go onto our website, which is thegeekfoundation.org, and go onto our website there. And if you go under what we do, you're able to sign up for either the IT program or the web development program. So we've been working really hard, trying to get out there to the community and offer the classes. And I know I met you at Maker Faire, before, and that's how we kind of became acquainted with each other. So it was just talking about, what we do and what you do. And, we eventually will have classes in 3D printing and, CNC machinery and all kinds of areas that are maker tech as well. So we plan to offer a whole wide range of tech-oriented classes in the future, but we're starting with web development and IT.
Well, that's good.
Uh-huh.
So for anybody that wants to register, that can register online,
Mm-hmm.
Can they register if they're not from Greene County or if they're not from Missouri?
I haven't had anybody try to register online from outside of the community. We were, of course, right now focusing on the community for the most part, but yeah, I mean, I guess at least for the online class, I couldn't see any reason why somebody couldn't, you know. We do plan to expand our classes eventually outside of our community anyway, but the only reason we're doing this web development class online right now is just because, you know, COVID, you know, makes it hard for everybody to be able to come in person, you know, at the same time. So once we get a little bit more settled with that, we do plan to do our web development classes in person as well in the future. So, okay. But yeah, for now, I mean, sure, I can't see any reason why not.
Okay. And for anybody that's looking to do the online course and that's a little hesitant because they've never, you know, stepped into that water before, they're not tech savvy, they for whatever reason they don't understand computers as well, or what are your thoughts and answers for people like that are just hesitant for things like that?
Well, you know, I think there's just a lot of misconceptions that come along with getting into tech anyway, you know, just because, you know, a lot of people do have those fears. You hear all those misconceptions about, like, you have to have been doing it your whole life, or you have to have been tinkering your whole life to be interested in it, or you have to learn too much all of the time. None of those things I've found over the last, you know, 10 years of studying the tech industry have been true, you know, from what I've found, you know, from interviewing people, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, would you hire someone who doesn't have a traditional 4-year degree? That has not been true when I've asked across the board, you know. Everyone's like, no, if they can pass the testing that we do to require it, then, you know, no, they would have a job. So like with computer programming, that's a very specific thing, you know, when that comes to whether you're programming machinery or a computer, or you're doing software development or web development or whatever. I mean, that's a language. So you're learning, you know, I equate it in my brain to like learning a foreign language, you know. So if you can learn Spanish, you know, or another foreign language, that's kind of what it feels like to me. And they've even found studies, some studies coming out over the last weekend or so, that were neurological brain scan studies that show that the part of your brain that you use for computer programming is the same part that you use for processing language. So, you know, I mean, I think it's just, you know, whenever you have those misconceptions, like, reach out to someone, you know, who has done it, or do some research on it. There's a lot more evidence coming out showing that, you know, that those misconceptions aren't true, you know. So, and then with computer programming, it's really just, you know, you always hear too, like, you have to have math background, you know, or math background is the biggest one that I hear, actually. And I'm like, well, unless you're going into like data science structures, machine learning, you know, AI, you know, things like that are pretty algorithmic specific, you don't really need that for just computer programming, you know. Like, it's really just memorization and paying attention to details, you know, like, because what, you know, the joke is 99% of your job is debugging your code because you put a incorrect letter somewhere, you know, in your code. So that's really all it is, you know. It's just, don't be afraid of it, because really it's just, you know, it's just problem solving. You're just, you know, going back and checking your work and paying attention to detail. So that's what I tell people.
Yeah, and this entire course is free for everybody, right?
It is free. Yep.
So
it is free.
People that sign up for it and are fearful of, well, it's going to cost me money and I can't quite afford it, or
sure,
or if I pay for it then I don't like it. It's completely free.
Yes, but I don't want that to devalue it. So the thing is that if you sign up for the class, we want to make sure that you're committed to the time frame and actually interested in it. Because the thing is, since our classes are free, that means we have limited amount of seating, you know. So like for the IT program, you know, we want to make sure specifically that everyone who signs up for that class is actually interested in participating, because that's a spot that somebody else could have had, you know. So I think that's the important thing to remember whenever something is free, is that it might be free for you, but it still has value, you know.
Yes, everything has value. Now,
absolutely.
Now, what I'm leading into with that question is, I know on your guys' website that you have these wonderful things that are free for people to try to learn. coding.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
sign up for the class. If you want to go to the Geek Foundation and look up, you can try Code Academy. They've got a couple of places you can go, and
Yes.
it's web-based. So you don't have to download something. You can do it on your computer. You can do it on your phone.
Right.
You can do that.
Right. Exactly.
So
That's actually when I've been interviewing the web development people that come in that have signed up for the class. I tell them, go to Code Academy and go on under their catalog, do the HTML and CSS program. Just start with that, and then you can see what computer programming looks like, and then you have an idea coming into it whether or not you're actually interested in it or not.
Oh, yeah.
The IT program is all just hands-on. It's just building a computer, essentially. So, but with computer programming, the best way is to try out those free resources and make sure that it's something you're actually interested in.
Yeah. So, I mean,
for sure.
the hard thing for people is that want to get into it is trying to find a way to try it for free, because there are colleges that offer courses, but that costs. And then if it's not your cup of tea, then you got all that money you've spent on it and that time you've wasted. But if you go to Code Academy, there's Khan,
Free Code Camp, W3 is another one. Yeah, there's a lot of free resources out there, but I recommend the Code Academy one most of the time, just because they have a specific HTML and CSS track. Yes. And that's what our front-end web development is going to be, that HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But at least, like, you could start, you don't have to complete the program. Obviously we don't probably want you to either, because that kind of, we want you to come in and learn with a class, So, because with the class too, we're using Launch Code's curriculum. They're based out of St. Louis. Okay. So they have a whole full curriculum. It's 100 hours, long. So the classes are from 6 to 8 p.m. on Monday and Wednesday. But there's probably 10 to 15 hours of at-home study, that you'll be doing, like students will be doing as well on their own. But you get that classroom environment where you have mentors that you can reach out to. You have your teachers, you're going to be graded. And then also just the value of that is the fact that we have taken that curriculum, embedded it with all of the local companies to make sure that would fit their job market. So, I've gone to O'Reilly, I've gone to Jack Henry, I've gone, to the digital agencies around town and said, if somebody learns HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and, your Get and all that stuff, like, is that going to help them get into a front-end web development job here? And it does. So, and even across the country, there's lots of junior level developers and internships available all across the world for front-end web developers. So, yep, there's an infinite amount of possibility, really.
Yeah, and I actually have friends who work at Jack Henry, so.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, so do I. It's pretty cool. They're a great company. I mean, all the companies here. Yeah, right. And it's interesting because I think Springfield itself has not ever really realized that we have a really large tech hub here, that they just aren't aware of, because, O'Reilly is a large tech hub, Jack Henry, Expedia, Bass Pro, Cox Health with Cerner. There's a lot of those big companies that you think Bass Pro is like, oh, it's outdoor stuff. Jack Henry, banking, O'Reilly's automotive. Nobody realizes that like a good, like high portion of their employees are actually tech employees.
Yeah, they've got a separate building where they go to for doing those.
Exactly. Yep.
That's actually one of my friends that works at Jack Henry worked at Bass Pro.
Oh, nice. So yeah, that's awesome.
He did the tech side of it. So the servers and all that. But I think they've got a website that they got to keep up and running. And here in Springfield, Missouri, is the main house for Bass Pro. This is where it originated. So
exactly.
Just think of it as a network. This is the hub of the network, and it's just spread out everywhere else. Everyone else has their own servers and stuff set up for certain things in their own computers and their own places all over the United States. But this is the main branch.
Right. I think that's one of the things too, the misconceptions that I hear an awful lot, like even talking to kids, about, gaming development. One of my favorite stories was asking a girl, I was trying to get people to sign up for classes, asking a girl who's probably about 12 or 13, like, is she like video gaming? And she said yes. And I said, well, what's your favorite video game? And she said GTA. And I said, oh, okay, that's cool. I was like, well, how would you like to like make a game like that? I was like, you could work with lots of other people on a team and make it. And she's like, oh, I thought just one person made that game. And I was like, oh no. I was like, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people come together to make games like that, So I think that's also a big thing that people don't realize is how many people it actually takes to do all of that work. So, O'Reilly, not only do they have a website, but they have app development, they have their e-commerce sites, they have, the IT side of things with hardware and software, and then they have to have software developers. And, that's multiple floors of employees, just for tech. And because, tech is something that for so long was thought of that you have to have that 4-year degree. I don't personally think of it that way. I think of it as more of a skilled trade.
Yep.
So for so long, there was that thought process of like, oh, you have to have this 4-year degree, and most people can't do that and haven't done that. And then you battle that with that it's been heavily outweighed with no minority representation, for so long too. We just don't have enough people with the skill sets to fill all the jobs, So they're all almost competing with each other, for the people that have tech experience. All these companies are competing with each other for people. That's why a lot of the people that are in tech wind up switching to the different companies all the time, because they're all just like constantly competing with each other.
Yep.
It's pretty funny.
They do. It's competitive.
It's very competitive.
Up in Kansas City, it's the same way. I know people that work up there in the tech industry up there, and a lot of people think, well, Missouri, the Midwest, it's not a big tech company.
Sure.
It kind of is, especially up in Kansas City. It's kind of the Silicon Valley of the Midwest.
Yep, it is.
And people don't realize that's what it is.
Right, because everyone automatically thinks tech, Silicon Valley, and it's like, actually, one of my favorite interviews that I've had so far, and it didn't get put in the interview, so I was kind of bummed about this, but they asked me, well, how do you know when you train people that they're not going to move to Silicon Valley? And I was like, first of all, do you know how much it costs to live in Silicon Valley? Because that's why. That's how I know that people are going to move out there. Because, why would they do that either? If you could work for a company in Silicon Valley remotely and make that amount of money that you would get paid to work for Silicon Valley, but live where it's affordable to live, So, and then you have, workforce development and economic development, because you have people with, there's a lot of local jobs here that need to be filled, but there's a lot of jobs all over the world that need to be filled too. So, you keep learning and keep growing your skill set. So maybe you start out as a front-end web developer, but then you learn full stack web development, and then you learn, cloud services or whatever it may be from there. And before you know it, you could be living from here and working, for Silicon Valley, making $150,000 a year, So it's the potential is unlimited, really,
Yes.
So
Yes, it is.
I get pretty excited about all of this, and I could talk about it forever. So
Completely understand.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and just to see where technology is going and where it will go from there. And we plan to. Web development and IT is just the start. So we plan to offer classes in the future in, smart home technologies, microcontrollers, wearable technologies, video game development, AI, everything that you could think of. We eventually plan to have like a tech school, like a large tech school here for all ages, so kids and adults. Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome. So when is this course starting for everybody?
June 29th. So both classes start on June 29th, and they're both from 6 to 8 p.m. on Monday and Wednesday nights. Okay. But the web development class is online, and the IT class is here in person.
Good. So if you can't make it in, if you want to do the online course, there you go.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. Yep. So we tried to make it an even playing field as much as possible, because we do realize that there's still a lot of people that aren't able to get out, because of COVID or things like that, right now. So we do have the opportunity to do in person, and we will be socially distanced in that class, and it will be a safe and clean environment. But the web development is for anybody who would like to take the classes and do it online.
For
Absolutely.
anybody that wants to take the classes in building, is there anything they need to bring for themselves?
No, so we are going to be providing the books and Amazon Fire tablets. This is a pilot program for both. So really we kind of, are saying you guys are kind of, the students are kind of the guinea pigs this time around. We're kind of testing it out and see what works and things like that. So for the for the IT class, you'll be provided a book and an Amazon Fire tablet. So that will have your curriculum both places. We just tell people, probably just bring in a pen and paper so you can learn, and write stuff down, as you need it. But we'll be using Canvas Learning Management System, which is what SPS uses.
Yep.
So that will be our module that the students will be able to log into to do quizzes and tests and homework for both classes. For the web development class, you won't have any books or anything because all the curriculum is online.
Okay.
So, yep. So pretty easy.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you coming on and getting this recorded with me and talking about it. Happy to, put this out there for people to know that it exists and they can try to learn.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you having me on here, and I'm hoping that we can work on some 3D printing and cool classes and stuff like that in the future too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun.
I agree with you completely on that. Yeah.
Yep. But strange times. Because, like, what does it even look like? Is there going to be a Maker Faire this year? Is there, like?
Yeah. I have no idea on how that is even going to work out. But I did put my Maker Faire shirt on.
I did see that. You are wearing your Ozarks Mini Maker Faire shirt. Like it.
So I was like, I need to put something on that I want to wear that's perfect for it. Found it.
Yeah, I got my Geek Foundation name tag that I recently acquired, so I'm pretty proud of that. Yep.
I actually have the card right here.
Oh, cool. Still got the card. That's awesome.
Yep.
I need to get more of those made. I'm out of cards. I think I've been out since like Maker Faire probably.
I can see that.
I'm just like, I need to make some more, and then I just keep forgetting because there's a million other things going on right now, right?
Yep, that is literally how it goes.
Yeah, right. It's been super busy. But our classes are starting 2 weeks from yesterday. So
yeah,
that's our first classes, and it's pretty awesome. So I've been interviewing, having people come in to interview for their classes and all that stuff. So it's been super busy lately, but also super surreal because I've been working on this for, probably a year, just planning out these adult programs alone, so
100% understand that.
Pretty
completely.
Exciting to finally have the deadline here. Like, it's weird at the same time. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's crazy. I can't believe it's actually here.
I was sitting there like, I need to contact her and get something set up for us to talk about it before, this happens. And then the date got changed. I was like, okay, I've got a bit more time now. And I'm like, I don't have a lot of time left. I need to, okay.
Yeah, well, we still got, we can almost 2 weeks, so nothing like a tight deadline, right?
Yep. But one thing I've learned in broadcast television is people really don't pay attention until like the week or two before.
That's true. Yeah. So actually, that reminds me, because you work for Color 10, don't you?
I do.
Yep. I was just talking today with my employee about that we need to probably try to get in and start talking about that, get on the news and make some appearances and talk about the classes getting ready to start. So yeah, because we still got 2 weeks left. There's still plenty of time for more people to register.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially the web development program is all online, so we really could have as many people in that class as possible. But I've done really limited marketing at this point, like just basically just marketing through partnered organizations that represent minorities, so
I've been trying to push it on our show now and again, talk about it at least
cool.
once every other week or so, or every
that's
week.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, because not a problem. It's it's local here, and I'm all for trying to empower people to be able to do more things, whether it's making or learning how to do computer stuff. So
well, that's where you start, right? Like you
Yeah.
start as a programmer, you start as IT, and that's what I've been telling everybody that comes in for the interviews for it. It's like, sure, like this is only the beginning, you know, like, I mean, you can do, we plan to have tons of different classes, you know, in the future, like from video gaming and wearables and smart home technology and, you know, Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and, you know, all kinds of different programs, video game development. You know, this is just the beginning, you know, and that's what I tell people when I'm meeting with them too, is like, take these classes, but don't stop here, you know, like don't stop with just like being a web developer. Like keep learning, because technology and the tech industry itself is just so incredibly valuable for that reason, because there's just so much to learn and so many ways to make yourself more valuable. So really, when you think about it, like the tech industry is not just workforce development, it's also personal development, you know, because there's just infinite potential to just keep learning, you know.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. You can never stop learning.
And it's so fun. Like, I mean, I went into it thinking I wanted to be a web developer because I like design and I like, you know, creating pretty things, you know, but then I was like, oh wait, like, and then so I started writing for Make magazine. I had an opportunity because I was a writer growing up, you know, and I love to write, and I always really appreciated grammar, you know, and good spelling and stuff like that. So I was like, you know, so I thought initially I'd be a good computer programmer. And then I had an opportunity to start writing for Make magazine, and was like, wait, there's like a whole other world of like cool, like programming stuff that exists. I mean, I knew about video game development because I grew up playing video games, you know, and I knew about, you know, computer programming, and I knew about, you know, that stuff, but like wearable technologies, you know, and, you know, I knew about 3D printers, you know, and all that stuff, because those are just mainstream things that you hear about, you know, often. But the actual like intricacies of all those things too, and like what they can do, and like where the future is going with those things, those are the things that people don't hear about that often.
Oh yeah.
You know, like learning about, you know, that they think, you know, at some point there'll be 3D printing organs, you know, and, you know, I mean, it's just, think about if you could learn the technology that you need to program that, you know, like, and then it'll just keep growing from there too.
Oh yeah.
So it's pretty incredible.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love the tech industry just as a whole, you know, whether it's makers or whether it's, you know, development or IT,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like, well, thank you very much for having me on. It was really nice to see you, and I hope more people will sign up for our classes.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.